The polka dot door, the polka dot door. Let's peep through the polka dot door. Songs and stories and so much more. Through the polka dot door, this is the time we always say. Get ready, get set for Animal Day. People and pets get together and play, so come in the polka dot way.
Hello, welcome to another episode of today's podcast. Today we're on a peek through the polka dot door, part 2, and we're very happy to have a whole bunch of brand new hosts from the polka dot door seasons on our screen today. We have Johnie Chase. We have Nina Keogh. We have Gerry Mendicino, and we have Ann Reynolds with her husband, Ted Regan, just a little over there on the side. See, there he is. These are all former hosts of Polka Dot Door, and we are so happy to have them here. So, welcome to all of you.
Hello. Hi. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so we're going to start.
Yeah,
no problem. We're going to start right off the hop. I want to know about your audition processes, because I know like it differs from person to person. So we'll start with Johnie and work our way over. So Johnie, what was your audition process like for the show?
It was probably 45 minutes of the most horrible thing I've ever done in my life, because you had to make something up out of thin air and then read a script about things you don't know yet. So to make things up and to make them all go, the one thing about my audition I will tell you is that the script was shaking like this the whole time while I was trying to read it because I was so nervous. But I got through it and I thought, my God, I'll never get this job. And then lo and behold, they called and said, you did a pretty good job. And I said, really? He goes, yeah. And I said, no, you're lying. I know you're my cousin. And then finally he says, no, you really got the job. And I was, oh, great. And then I went, oh my goodness, what have I done? Because then I suddenly realized I got to talk to toys. And then I thought, yeah, it's like talking to my friends. So this job, God gave it to me because it's like, yeah, Humpty Dumpty and all those, yeah, they were just like my friends anyway. So it was quite easy for me to, make the transition to humans.
So it was a natural.
And what was that?
It was a natural thing to talk to inanimate
Exactly.
objects. Yeah.
Exactly. and the best part about that is, unlike being in the United States where you do television or you do movies or you do stage, to do the polka dot door and to be able to do all of those things that you have to do on the show made it easy to do American television or American film. One, they didn't realize, God, he's got a memory. He can memorize the script pretty good. He can work with props pretty good. I'm going, well, I take the gun. I'm supposed to shoot the guy. That's Humpty and Dumpty. I investigate the crime. But it was easy to make the transition of toys, humans, scripts. It became easier and easier for me in the business because the scripts, some of them you would get them, they'd be 60 pages long. Other ones you get, and they only be 20 pages long. The big thing is we worked with 3 cameras. Most TV shows don't use 3 cameras. So whenever I went to a show and they only had 1 camera, piece of cake, like talking to Humpty or Dumpty. But the worst part about that was you shoot so fast, then they got to move the camera and they got to keep moving the camera because you're so quick. They didn't expect the technicians, I can honestly say, because I was a technician, they like me because you work quick, which means they get out of work early, which means they can get up to 400 early. So all because of the polka dot door, hey, made a career out of me simply because, man, toys are so easy to work with. And when you work with humans, they're even easier when they realize, hey, he's got some craft. And I go, where'd you get that from? I was like, Humpty Dumpty Bear. And they go, oh, really? And I go, yeah, we had, because they are used to working 1 camera, got to move it, 1 camera, got to move it all the time. With 3, look to 1, sing to 2, do your arts and crafts to 3. So I thank God for the door for that, for making me such a professional.
Wow, nice.
That's true. You really learn your craft doing that series.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't even realize it until you go to do something else and go,
yeah,
why don't they do it this way?
Yeah, I'm hearing that. That seems to be a pattern for a lot of the people that we spoke to, that they used to say that their time on the door prepared them for everything they've ever done.
Anything.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's great. So Nina, your audition probably will be the most special because you're the very first person.
I don't know.
She was? She was the
Special.
first?
Yes, sir. Well, when I was asked to audition, I was already hosting a CBC show called Drop In. And Ted Regan actually was one of the directors.
There he is.
And he directed me on that. I just fell in love with him. He was so wonderful to work with. So I was already doing on-camera hosting. So I think when they called me, they knew it. They had seen me. And my audition consisted of being with Jan Rubisch, who had played guitar. And
Right.
I think he played guitar on the show sometimes. But anyway, he was brought in to be the musical accompaniment for those of us who, you know, they needed to know if we could sing and so on. They also had asked, what do you play any instruments, or do you have any special skills? I said, well, I play recorder. So I brought the recorder and I played the recorder, and I think I played the opening theme to The Friendly Giant.
I see, I was just trying to show you.
And Jan Rubisch was playing the guitar. And then I had to sing. And I'm not a singer. I've never been a singer, although every show I've done, I've had to sing on, so I can sing in character, basically. But my singing as a human being is just awful. And I was watching a couple of my shows, and it was like, oh my God. Anyway, so that's my audition process. They called me up. I don't know. I think there were 400 or 300 people who had auditioned, and they said, you know, you've got it, and that was it. That was the beginning. And I've got a few stories, but I can tell them later if you want.
Oh, I love to hear all the stories. That's the purpose of the podcast, right? I want to hear all the stories that you guys got. Gerry, what about you?
I think it was off on Yonge Street, wasn't it? It was a church on Yonge Street. I remember auditioning. I was 29 when I auditioned. So I had, you know, I was married, had a child. And the big thing other than singing was, how do you deal with the toys? Can you talk to toys and make it look like natural? And because I had a child, I found it easy to talk to the toys. I was an okay singer. So yeah, I got the part. It's that simple. I don't remember much more about it, to tell you the truth.
What about you, Carol?
Oh my goodness. Well, it was Herbie Helbig was the pianist on the series at the time, and I had my professional environment was music. I was singing professionally for years, and then I took some time off to have children. My daughter, and then my son. My son was about, I think he was rounding the corner on 2 years when I got a call from Herbie, who I'd worked with professionally in doing all kinds of performance things. And Herbie was a classical pianist, and he was a jazz pianist, and he played, you know, what they call the American Songbook of fabulous music. And I was into all of that. I'd studied classically through the Royal Conservatory University of Toronto, and was, you know, doing everything, including prepping for the opera school when I just launched into the Toronto scene as a performance artist. So Herbie called and he said, what are you doing? And I said, right now I'm diapering my son, you know, or something of that sort. And he said, do you feel like getting back into the business? And I said, well, I'd planned on it, but I've been pretty busy. And why, what's up? And he and I would do, you know, odd things from time to time. if he had a special concert, he'd invite me to be part of it or whatever. And he said, well, you know, I do Polka Dot Door. And I said, Polka Dot what? Because, you know, the kids were sort of into it. He said, you know, Polka Dot Door. I said, oh yeah, my daughter watches that because she was around, I guess she was around 4, 5, going on 5. And I said, it's a great little show. And he said, yeah. He said, they're auditioning for performance artists to do hosting. So I said, you're calling me? And he said, yes, it's the kind of thing that you would have fun with. And I said, well, okay, let's have a look. And he told me all about it. And he said, I'll send you a script so you can see what kinds of things are expected. And if you really want to do it, let me know and I'll, you know, let them know that you're interested. So I looked at the script. It looked like fun. It was everything I felt comfortable with, especially the music and the potential for dancing or whatever, because I'd studied it all. And the thing that stood out for me was that it invited the interest of children in the age group of my own kids. So this was really, really ideal. I could translate everything I'd been doing with my children into something for television. This is the best job in the world, right? For me at the time of my life. So I did say yes to Herbie, and he let Ted Coney Bear know. And Ted gave me a call and he said, I'd like you to come in and audition. So as I recall, the audition was at somebody's house, and Ted was there. I think Clive was there. There was someone else there. I don't remember exactly who, but it was a woman. And I had prepped myself. It was during the summer months. So I had gone out into my backyard and practiced with the script that I'd received from Herbie. And it included having to pretend to be an elephant. And I can remember at one stage, you know, sort of walking around my yard with my arm being the trunk, humped over and making elephant-like sounds. And my neighbor looked over the fence and she said, what the dickens are you doing? I said, I'm rehearsing. She said, for what? Anyway, that was kind of the scene. So when I did go to the rehearsal, I had to act all of that out. And I think that the elephant segment was the thing that I recall the most. But I was asked to sing, and I did sing. I can't remember what it was. It was really very pleasant. I don't remember the experience of having somebody call me and say, you've got the job, but I got the job, and I loved it. It was one of the most deliciously ideal things for me, because I had my children of the age group that the show was so completely directed to, and so cleverly, because the scripts were written in such a wonderful way. It was easy for the children to latch on. The music was simple and charming. And of course, Herbie played piano so beautifully. Herbie passed away, and to my saddest sensation that this brilliant man had died so young. And I had actually asked John Arpin, who I'd worked with professionally for years at Sutton Place, as and I did River Inn, which he was the music director on, which was Catherine McKinnon's show. I was a guest artist on that. And I asked John if he would, please let them know that he was available. And so he became the second pianist on the series. And, the two of them, between Herbie and John, the music was the leadership for everything you needed to do to spark the interest in your own soul about your inner child. And so that popped out whenever that music was part of the process. Don't you think, Gerry? Wasn't that an important part of allowing us to become who they wanted us to be? The storytellers, the playing. We played like children, in large bodies, in grown-up bodies. And the whole thing was so clever, so enchanting in a way. Lots of hard work behind it, but it was exactly the kind of complementary elements that created this let's pretend environment that we all enjoyed so much.
Tell them the story about how Thomas reacted.
Oh, my little son. I have to tell, Ted just said, tell the story about my 2.5-year-old son. It was around I was launched into the series around the time my son was 2.5, going on 3. And I remember the evening that we were all sitting downstairs in our TV room watching the show come on, and Mummy was going to be on. It was such an excitement. And little Thomas was sitting right beside me on a chair, and my daughter Joanna was sitting at my feet, and on pops the show, and then on pops Mom. And Thomas looked up at me with the most extraordinary look on his face, didn't say a word, just looked up at me, then looked back at the TV, then looked up at me again. He got up out of the chair, ran to the screen, touched the screen, and then looked over at me to make sure that I was still there, and then ran back and jumped into the chair with me and wrapped his arm around me like I was going to disappear. It was really quite a magical moment,
I have a 3-year-old granddaughter and a 1-year-old granddaughter, and the same thing happened to me. This is what kids do, I think. I was showing her 4 shows that I was on, or that I did. One was the Polka Dot Door, and I showed her a bit of me, it's a really old video. And she sort of she's looking at the video, and then she's looking at me, and then she's looking at the video. How can you be here and there at the same time? Like, how do you describe that to a kid, I can tell you, I showed her a clip of Friendly Giant, Today's Special, Book Mice, and Polka Dot Door. I wanted to see, this is the first time she's seen any of these shows, and most of her attention was definitely on the door. So I thought that was a good story to tell today.
Oh, it's a lovely story.
Of all those shows,
yeah,
it was Polka Dot Door that she was most engaged with. So I thought that was very interesting, and Mr. Dress Up, considering their iconic shows for children that age, it was still the door that.
And Nina, I think in spite of how sophisticated children's programming became or has become since, when my grandchildren, when they were at the age, because my mother, thank God, her wonderful soul, she had the common sense to tape a whole variety of those shows. She'd just flip on the VCR whenever my shows were on. And so I had a whole panoply of wonderful shows that my grandchildren were able to watch, and they were freaking. The latest little guy, who's 6 now, was 4 when I introduced him to them, and he sat over an hour. This is a 4-year-old watching this show on the screen, and he was absolutely spellbound. So the whole goddamn thing works beautifully in every possible way.
It wasn't until I did the live show that I realized how popular Polka Dot Door was across Canada. And as it turns out, it was the most watched TV show. I don't know if it was for that time or period. It was the most watched children's show at the time. So
it was.
I really saw how popular it was when I went across Canada with it.
And I'm just going to let you know, I was there.
You were there in the audience?
I was there at the live show.
I remember you.
Well, you might have. I was a short.
I have to thank Carol. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was a short, little, round, redheaded with a big red afro. It was bad.
Oh, there were a lot of those around. I have to thank Carol Ann for that, because it was Carol Ann who who connected me to Gerry Richardson, who was
Oh, yes,
producing
right.
the show.
That's
So
right.
thank you, Carol Ann. Yes.
Well, listen, Gary and I did the first series of shows, and we went with Coney Bear up to, I think it was,
Ted.
oh, it's
Yeah,
Ted
not
Coney
Rod.
Bear. Yeah, Ted Coney Bear. You're right.
Rod
got
was
Coney Bears
Jerome and
mixed up.
Rusty.
Yeah, we went up to Cobaconk, up to Lindsay. We sort of did that whole Kawartha Lakes area one summer. And the people who showed up were just so enthusiastic. They were small towns, and yet we filled the house, and it was really kind of fun. Gerry, did you do a lot of those shows?
I did them for about 4 years.
Did you?
Yeah, we went across Canada.
Yeah.
But the most we did the show actually at what's the place downtown that just got renovated?
Oh,
Massey Hall.
Massey
We
Hall.
did Polka Dot Massey Hall, so I figured that was the pinnacle of my career, was doing Polka Dot Door at Massey.
Now,
Massey Hall, yay.
I have a couple more questions for you. Now, I was going to segue off what Nina said, but do you guys have any favorite episodes that you guys did? Like the episodes that stand out in your mind from your seasons? Johnie, do you have an episode that stands?
No, let me think.
Okay, I'll come back to you.
Okay.
We'll go with Gerry. Gerry, do you have any episodes that stand out in your mind at all? Have you ever seen any of the episodes?
I did when they were airing, but I haven't seen them in years because unfortunately they don't show them anymore. But I remember mainly when we were building things, and it was kind of improvised. It was like doing a theater show for me. I mean, with a camera, and like everyone has said, the experience I got from that show was just amazing.
Think that you can really, with a show like this, there's no sort of plot line. There's no excitement in that sense where you go, oh, I remember this show. I mean, basically there was a template, and we were singing, we were telling the time.
The watch.
Yeah.
Playing in the sandbox,
I've got the hands, for God's sake. I'm still a polka dot person.
That was wild, that one. So I mean, I can't say that I had a favorite show. I enjoyed working with Gordon Thompson, who went on to Dynasty and a couple of those series. And I was trying to get him to come on today. A lot of people have become quite reclusive, or they're not out there anymore, and they don't want to do stuff anymore either. So I mean, it's just kind of hard to get hold of him. But I wanted to talk about wearing the polkaroo costume, because, and this may be the difference between the first and last, or the evolution of all this. But so when I was doing it, it would be I would leave for some reason, and the other host would be there, and then I would come back in the polkaroo costume and have to, do the polkaroo thing. And he said, you just missed, he'd say to the polkaroo, oh, you just missed Nina. She just, I don't know, went to the bathroom or something, wherever we were going. And then on another show, I would be sitting in the sandbox, and my co-host would leave and come back in the costume. That was not my favorite part of the show, was wearing that costume.
I was gonna say, I guess we can talk about it now. I guess it's out there right now. So I'm assuming that Gerry and Johnie have done their time in the polkaroo suit.
I hope so.
I hope so.
I have a question for Gerry and Johnie. Did the polkaroo suit come with a diaper? Because God, I can't imagine what you'd have to do in order to get yourself, into the bathroom if you absolutely ever had to put it on and off. I think would have been a horror scene.
Do you remember your times in the suit?
I
know.
think
Yeah, I
at
do.
one point,
Johnny,
go ahead, John.
I did both. I was in the suit and I wasn't in the suit.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so
The
that
suit-
has changed.
But
then?
the suit was not made for my body type.
It was not one size fits all. No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
But
So
Carol
it
Ann,
was
did you?
tugging a pull and a tape job with me.
I never did.
Okay, I heard later the women didn't wear the suit.
They
No,
wouldn't let us
no.
actually. We talked
No,
about
the
it.
women didn't wear the pants. No, they
Uh,
actually had a fan on the head,
They
which
had a
would
what?
cool your
Oh,
a
really?
fan
Oh my
on
God.
the top.
Oh, I missed
Our face-
that.
Yeah, but one time when we were doing the live show, we were outside in the park, and
Oh,
Polkaroo comes out, and a dog starts chasing him, and he runs all over the park,
Oh, no.
being chased by the dog, and he gets so hot, he takes his head off,
Oh,
and the kids are traumatized.
yeah,
Kids were
Yeah.
traumatized. I think
that's
probably,
true.
even now, they're probably traumatized.
Today that would go viral. You
Oh,
know?
man. Oh man, I would have loved. No offense, but I would have loved to see a video of dogs chasing Polkaroo through the park. That'd be great. So,
Funny.
do you guys have any funny stories from behind the sets? Like, do you have any funny? Do you guys remember anything? Like, did you trip over a toy or something like that? And
Well,
anything?
that's pretty exciting. No,
No.
Yeah.
never tripped over a toy.
I think one particular show, I'm trying to remember. I think I was doing it with Gerry, and we had to be on roller skates. And that was a very tough thing to do.
Oh, yeah, I can
Because
imagine that
They
one.
were terrified that we were going to fall, number
Oh.
one.
Mhm.
And we had, the like the boot skates on. And I was not I was proficient on those skates when I was younger and just couldn't manage them after the fact. So I think I was probably a triple threat when we did that show. And Gerry was really great because he sort of put his arm around me and held me up and kept me stable. But that's the only thing I could think of that was one of those, semi-dangerous kind of experiences.
I
One of
wanted
the,
to,
go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, I was going to
I
just
was
say
just,
some of my favorite shows were done with, loved doing them with Gerry because we had a lot of fun doing those pantomimes, those stories that they had. And the other person I loved working with was Dennis Simpson. And I did the Christmas shows with Dennis. So on Christmas week, we were on in the morning and in the evening. And I just really enjoyed doing those shows because we not only did the Christmas story, we also did Hanukkah as well. So, we tried to cover the bases, which I thought in those days, that was a very sophisticated, thoughtful thing to do, to
Mhm.
recognize that there were other religions that were celebrating that time at that time of year as well.
So I know we were talking earlier before we started recording, and Johnie brought up a really good talking point. What about your favorite guests? I know there were lots of guests on the show, and a lot of famous people on the show too. So Johnie, pardon?
Who are the famous guests that you saw on the
Well,
shows?
I don't remember honestly.
Oh, God.
Johnie, since you brought it up, we're gonna start. Do you remember your favorite guest on the show?
Jane Bennett.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. Wonderful
And-
musician.
Between Jane Bennett, myself, and John Arpin. Music talk the whole day.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
that's
was great.
fantastic.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Great.
John was
Because
so
me
proficient.
being I like jazz. Used to play trombone. So to bring up everybody, whoever played the flute or whatever, we just
Yeah.
And they're going, guys, we got to come back to the set now, you know, because you guys are talking, because we were talking jazz. And
Yeah,
coming
but
from,
Johnie, that must have been really at the beginning of her career then, right? Because
yeah,
she's just
yeah,
really hot right now. She definitely
yeah.
somebody.
And
to
the
see.
thing is, a lot of people, they like something, but they don't run into anybody who also knows about that.
Yeah.
So when we started talking, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I know that. Oh, I've always liked that. Oh gee, that was cool. You know him? Yeah. So yeah, she was a lot of fun. She was a lot of fun. Like John Arpin, you challenge them and they challenge you right back with their knowledge of it. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh.
But John
Go
had,
ahead.
he had so many skill sets. He played jazz, he played classical.
Mhm.
He was well known for his oh gosh, what is it? Ragtime. He was a
Ragtime, yeah.
ragtime specialist.
Yeah, I
Whenever
know.
whenever there was an event that was going on anywhere in North America,
Yeah,
John
I
was
know.
usually on the calendar for it.
My ex was from New Orleans, her family. So going down there, I was able to talk about him down there because he
Yes.
used to do the what were they called? What are they called? Not ragtime vignettes or something, but there was a certain series that he was part of down there. So when I
Yeah.
got down there and started talking to him, they go, "Oh, you know John Arpin?
Yeah.
Well, let's give you better service." It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I can dig that.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, he was a joy to work with, and we did a lot of things together. You know, the TV
Mhm.
series River Inn. I was a regular guest on
Mhm.
that show.
Does I apologize, sorry.
Oh, no, so go ahead.
I was just gonna ask if anybody else has any memories of a guest. Like, do you have any, Gerry?
I don't have memory. I don't think when I was running it, when I was doing it, there were that many guests on the show. But I wanted to mention how diverse the hosts were
Yes.
back
Mhm.
then, which was uncommon back then. So they were really ahead of their time as far as
No, it was really
diversity.
really sensible, you know,
Very
to,
much so.
to be able to
It was wonderful.
do that in children's television, particularly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so. It was very important to see, you know, different people of different varieties of people on the show, right?
And they used to do these, you know, these films, these little inserts.
Mhm.
And we'd have all kinds of interesting things, people's cultural things at
Mhm.
times.
But when you look through the polka dot door,
Yeah,
right?
when you look through the polka dot door.
Mhm.
it's
Heard a
great.
lot of those British, some of the British clips that were thrown in because Polka Dot Door was based on the British show.
Yes.
Right.
That's
Um,
great.
I can't remember what it was called anyway, but I think they would drop in some of the British clips.
Mhm.
I have a couple of tales out of school stories, but they're about me.
Sure. we have about 10 minutes left.
Okay, I'll be quick. So, you know, I've always been a puppeteer, and then I got into hosting. Well, I've always had a fear of forgetting my lines, and just like really, I get physically ill before a show. And so I will admit right now to the public that I would, if I was having a hard time with one particular show or segment or whatever, I would type out or write in big words the points so that I could remember, and I would tape them underneath the lens
Yeah.
of the camera. And
Yeah.
I mean, really, I was the Marlon Brando of my day, you know, like, wait a minute, stand still. I'm going to glue some lines to you so I can remember. It was horrifying. I mean, I love doing the show. I love being in the studio, all that stuff, but it was really horrifying to think that, you know, I would forget my lines. And I think we basically were shooting live to tape. I don't think they'd
Yeah,
stop unless
that's
something
great too.
just horrible happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that is my story about that. Fortunately, I was dating my close-up guy. And he thought it was
So that's why you got so many close-ups.
Richard Cable, the lovely Richard Cable was his name. And
Ken
then,
remembers him.
oh God, yeah, really lovely guy. Howard Cable, the orchestra leader, his son.
Right.
And my other story I wanted to tell before we had run out of time was I did that first year, in spite of my putting my scripts up here and there and not singing super well, I was asked to come back for the second season as well. So that surprised me. I came back. I did a second season with another host. And then I was booked to do the third season. So it was sort of like, okay, this is great. I'm gonna be the host now, and I'm gonna have a different male host, co-host every season. Just before we were going to go into the third season, my girlfriend, who was the script assistant at the time, phoned me and said, I got to give you a heads up. They're letting you go.
Ooh.
And I, what? She said, yeah, you didn't hear it from me. They're letting you go. I go, holy mackerel. How can they let me go? I've got a contract, a union contract. Anyway, so this is what happened then. And they called me in and said, this is happening. And they thought they were going to give me a little bit of money and I'd go away. And I ended up holding them to my contract. And
That's
so,
cute.
Good. You're
We have to stand up for ourselves.
exactly.
well, really, and so they were willing to pay me for the season, and they still hired somebody else. I thought, okay, I guess they got tired of my bad singing.
Is that where the whole kind of like, is that where the whole changing of the hosts came from?
Yeah. So they.
Yeah,
so
we
they-
had
the next year.
we had three. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Gerry, because
They had three, I think, 3 weeks a year that they shot. So three different hosts. And I think Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday morning we rehearsed. It was a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
And
there was
then
a lot of
Wednesday,
pressure. Yeah.
Wednesday 1 episode, Thursday 2 episodes, and Friday 2 episodes, I believe. So
Yeah,
that was a
really.
lot of pressure.
That was a
to,
lot of pressure.
It was.
We had to, the best way for that show to be done was for the hosts to memorize the scripts, because we were working with 3 cameras. Johnie, you're right. It was one of the few shows that had that kind of technical support. And working the 3 cameras, you just needed to know your lines, because you had to remember all of the body stuff you had to do. You had to the blocking. You had to be able to know which camera to look at, and you had to be
few lines for
ready.
yeah.
Oh my God, it was a lot of work,
Sing to 1, cut to 2,
right?
and peek on 3. And
And while
always
you're at
be
it,
looking at
please
1,
stand.
but cutting and, yeah. But like I say, for me, that was great for doing work later on.
Oh yeah,
And because I got to, when I work with American directors and whatever film I got killed in, they were surprised that I could walk in, do it once, 1 camera, I'd already turn and be ready for them to pull the camera over. So they, like I say, they save time. But because of the door, I learned the technique very quickly, how to put it all technically together and be ready to go when they were ready to go. So.
And I know that because Johnie and I subsequently did a series together called Hello, Mrs. Cherrywinkle.
oh
And-
sweet.
And he was fantastic. He played a sea captain, and he was just wonderful to watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was the Black Pirate. Yes, I remember that show.
Well, it's we're running out of time.
Oh,
Okay, we're running out of time. So we're gonna let you have a small little plug real quick before we go, and we're gonna say goodbye in hopefully classic polka dot door fashion.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if you remember how to say goodbye in the polka dot door fashion, that would be great. But let's start off what you're doing. Johnie, what are you up to these days? Nothing? Retired?
well, I moved back to Windsor,
Hmm?
and it was pretty cool. But then when this whole SARS things happened, all the events that I would normally go to and all that, they're all gone.
No.
So I'm wondering where all the friends I had before I left, they've all grown up, had kids, become grandparents. So there's really not a lot to do in Windsor, especially like I say with the lockdown now. And you can't even go over to Detroit, which is what I used to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just sitting, getting old, gaining weight, and trying to grow a beard.
You look very cute.
You
Nina,
do, Johnie. You do. You have those beautiful eyes.
Nina, what are you up to these days?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you.
Other than doing interviews with me.
I'm doing podcasts with Kevin on all my other shows.
Yeah.
But I'm producer on a feature documentary on Mr. Dress Up on Ernie Coombs, and so that's happening, and you'll be reading about that in the near future. It's big, and I'm also consulting with the Museum of History on a huge children's television puppets that go back, Canadian children's television puppets that go right back to the 50s when TV started. It's a 10,000 square foot exhibition in Hull, near Ottawa at the Museum of History. And it's got everything right from the beginning to the most current puppets on children's TV. So that's really exciting. And I'm really proud to be part of that.
That sounds wonderful.
Ashley and I are hoping to get there. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Question, is the Polkaroo there?
Polkaroo might be there, not considered a puppet though.
Yeah. Oh,
really?
No, it's not. It's a costume.
Oh, I thought. Okay.
That's that's a puppet of Polkaroo.
Yeah. Okay, but that puppet will not be there. I don't think. I'm not sure yet. I have to go up there and see how things are going. So,
Gerry, what are you up to these days? I think I know, but what are you up to these days?
Before I say that, I hope you find the toys. You were
yes.
saying that toys are not, you've been trying to find them where they are and you think they're still around.
That's
They took such good care.
I
hope they're still around.
That's a project that we're working on that the people will hear about quite soon. But I'm hoping to find them. I hope they still exist somewhere out there.
I thought they were in the museum by now.
Yeah, maybe they could be somewhere. I'll find them.
More than one set. There would have been more than one set, right, Johnie? So maybe they're at the museum.
So Gerry, what are you up to these days?
I just got back from Greece shooting my Big Fat Greek Wedding 3, which was very exciting.
Korea.
Yeah, it was great. So, I'm still working once in a while, doing my own stuff too. So still in the business. We don't retire, we just fade away. Eventually they don't call us and I guess we're done.
We want a young Gerry Mendicino. You remember him? Yeah, we want
Gerry, what are you up to these days?
Well, I moved into real estate a number of years ago. I've been at it now for about 20 years as a real estate broker. And but because I have so many grandchildren, I'm vividly involved in writing poetry and all kinds of stories for them. I had a number of those things published years ago, and now I'm pulling together a compilation of my work that I did in the past and some of the new stuff I've been doing. And I'll hopefully be speaking to publishers very soon.
Awesome. That sounds all great. If you have that book out, give us a call. We'll advertise
I'll
it.
let you know.
Yeah, we'll always have it.
If I have that book out, I'll have a book launch and you're all invited.
All right. Thank you very much, people, for coming on the show. It's been quite an honor. You guys, you affected not only my childhood and Ashley's childhood, but everybody, of my generation and even older than me. Their generation of, you taught us to read, you taught us how to tell time, you helped us make crafts and all that sort of stuff. So thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts.
Thank you, Kevin and Ashley. Thank you, Kevin and Ashley, for taking the interest and
absolutely delicious to have all of this happening in our hearts.
We haven't forgotten you. We still love the polka dot door. So in polka dot door fashion, I don't know whether you remember or not. I was going to do this last show, but we never got the time. But I'm going to say goodbye, and then I'm going to say, I think you said it in French. A bientôt. See you soon. Remember?
See you soon at the polka dot door.
Remember that? Oh man, I see that. I hear that all the time. So I'm going to say goodbye. I'll say au revoir, and we all go a bientôt. See you soon at the same time. And then we'll sign out, okay? So thank you guys very much for watching this episode. See part 2 of the Peek Through the Polka Dot Door on today's podcast. So goodbye. Au revoir.
Bye.
A bientôt.
See you
Through
soon.
the polka dot door.
Polka dot door, the polka dot door. See you soon at the polka dot door for songs and stories and so much more. Through the polka dot door.